Give me your Twitter. We could go to your Twitter. Oh, we only have the twos. That's right. I need to pay up. Okay, let's see. Where is the live stream over here?
How to eat sushi right.
Who did?
No, in my recommended. How to eat sushi right. I'm like, how did this guy?
I think you eat it by not eating it. So I upgraded my internet, and it's working well. It's still not going to be to your level, but my uploads are fast, which I'm happy about, and my streaming was solid. So I'm going to do multi-streaming next weekend. We'll go back to that. Awesome. And everything's good. Hey, Tech for Your Needs, Scott S. in the place. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Hey. I gotta load that up. I gotta load up the GadgetCast so I can see the chat.
Yeah, baby. So yeah, it's just open up the chat window here.
I adopted Scott today, so hello, son. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so when we start, we'll do the intro, say hi, lollygag, and then do the voicemail.
Yes.
Is that what we're gonna do? Okay.
Hold on, let me
yeah.
Stuff.
Let me see. Is this the
See, Scott accepts that I'm his dad now. I never thought I'd be a dad, but here we are.
Who's your daddy?
Oh,
who's your daddy, and why do you want?
I'm about to dump a lot of money into like a new stream setup too.
Oh, what? What? Like why? What?
Well, my background's always a mess. I need to get like a green screen because it's just it's always a mess.
Oh, I mean, I don't even have a green screen behind me right now. That's not even a green screen. That's literally.
I just realized there was a green screen behind me. I was like, oh, there we go.
So yeah, that's literally not even a green screen.
Are you using the Elgato one? The one that like.
Yeah, but if you look, hold on. Let me get to this.
Now there's nothing.
So that's what's actually happening.
Wait, what?
That's what's actually there. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't have a green. Oh, hold on. No, that's Sparker Cam. XSplit Cam. Yeah. So this is actually what I'm using to give me the fake green screen. Hold on, it'll come back up. It just needs to.
How do you fake a green screen without a green screen?
It's fucking magic, dude. It's magic. It's crazy. Why does something smell like throw up? Gross. Gross. Okay.
Found the tweet. Okay. Retweet this.
Yeah, retweet it so I can.
Yeah, go clean that throw up or something.
It does smell like throw up though. Terrible. What's good, Jason? Good to see you. We're just getting ready to get started here in a second. Greg's doing something.
What should I say? Join us for GadgetCast or die.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea.
What do I say?
Come see us. I mean, because why not? I mean, you're not doing anything.
That's good because why not?
I mean, what else are you doing? You're definitely not doing anything important. Definitely not doing anything important.
Sure.
Okay, tell me when you tweeted it, and then I'll retweet it.
But I retweeted your tweet.
So. Well, that doesn't count though, because that's the live. That's the Periscope and everything. You need to also tweet like the YouTube one. It doesn't matter. Let's.
I'll do both. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do double tweet. Watch this, guys. Watch this.
All right, what'd you go do? What's happening? Oh God.
Oh wait, hold on. This is the YouTube stream and not the okay. Send the link to the StreamYard. All these random.
Oh, don't do that. What the? You have people showing up.
I have to make sure every week. I'm just like, hold on.
Why is there random people showing up in our backstage area?
Like that. There we go.
Oh, geez.
There we go.
You got it?
It is gotten.
There we go. Okay, I'll retweeted it. Okay, here we go. Now we can actually start, not bore the people that are actually here.
They're not
watching. Bored. Oh, they're definitely bored.
They want to hear about my podcast streaming setup.
Yeah. Oh, we'll talk about that in another podcast because I want to hear what that's going to be. So let's hit record here in the countdown. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm scared. Hold on. I need to test something real quick.
Okay. All right.
Huh.
What happened?
It's just blinking like ominously, like that.
What's blinking?
The podcast song button on the Roadcaster is just blinking, and I don't know what it means.
The big square?
Yeah, it just keeps blinking.
Mine's never blinked.
I don't know what it means.
I don't know. Wait, do you have enough space on your micro USB or your SD card?
Yeah, I have 3 hours left of record time.
I had to wipe mine recently. No, I don't know, but it played. I just heard it play.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure it played because I was like, why is this beeping? Like it's like press me. I don't know.
All right, let's do this. Let's just hope for the best.
Okay. You start the countdown. This is gonna happen. If not, you guys got the only episode of GadgetCast.
All right, in 3, 2, 1, record.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the best podcast on planet Earth, GadgetCast. I am Gregory McFadden, joined by my trusty co-host, Travis MCP.
That's right. The award-winning. I mean, it won an award on my channel for being the best podcast.
Yeah, definitely won that award on Travis's channel.
Now we're hoping to get the Greg's Gadgets Award for the best podcast.
Well, that's the requirements are a little stricter.
We're trying.
You got to pay me a lot of money to be on my award show.
Hit those thumbs up in the live stream, and then hopefully that'll help.
I'm like the Golden Globes, not the Oscars. Travis's channel, it's like the Oscars. It means something. The Golden Globes, you gotta pay your way into it. You gotta be dropping some Apple money to make it on mine. You get it?
Yeah. All right. Well, we got all types of things to cover. We got chats in the chat room, people asking questions. So we'll add all that here in today's podcast. But from what you told me, and I have not heard this yet, I'm actually excited. We have another voicemail. Is that true?
We have another voicemail from Dan in Australia. And every time I listen to him talk, it's like want to be Australian. I'm like, what an awesome voice. I wish that was my voice. It's like, oh. Are you ready, Travis? Are you ready to hear from Dan?
Let's see. All right.
You ready, guys?
Hey, guys. This is Dan here in Australia. Again, just reaching out to say g'day and hey from over here in the great Southland. Hey, really loving the show, and it's always good to binge as I travel a fair bit with work. Also, Greg, last time I left a voice message, I hadn't had a chance to watch much of your channel. I'm really enjoying some of the content that's coming through. Love following you on Twitter. And try to engage where I can. My job keeps me quite busy, so I don't have this massive opportunity. Travis, it was great to watch the CES show. Really, really enjoying the recap, CES 2020 recap. It's an interesting play that TCL are doing and playing in with this massive marketing push. I met with the national manager actually just last year, and that was really, really cool. And to see where they're headed in the market. Guys, keep it coming. Loving the content. It's great to binge while I'm driving on the road, traveling up and down the east coast of Australia. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Dan, for that awesome voicemail. Yes.
Shout out to them. Another important thing about Australia, there's a bunch of crazy fires going on down there, and it breaks my heart to think about it. So there are a couple of places online where you can donate, and I really highly recommend anyone who has a heart and a little bit of money, even if it's just $3 or $4, to just search out one of the major organizations out there that are doing work to try to get those firefighters out there some support. It's really crazy what's going on out there.
Yeah, it's bad, and like billions of animals are dying. It is tragic.
I can't even think about that.
Even if you go to Apple's website, right on the top, you can donate to the Australian bushfire relief. So
please do.
Easy to do. Like Travis said, a few bucks. If everyone donates a few bucks, that's a lot of money. There's strength in numbers. So don't ever think a donation's too small, $1,
Yeah.
If 20 million people donate $1, it's $20 million.
I know. If all of our listeners were to donate, we would do all right.
Travis, I've thought about that many times. I have pondered the idea of hey, those GoFundMes. I should just start a GoFundMe, make a campaign video, be I'm not going to do anything for you, but I just want 1 million people to give me $1. No more. No more. I don't want a $20 donation. I want 1 million $1 donations. Make me a millionaire.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think that'd work?
I mean, with social media, you never know, but probably not.
I think it would. That's the sad part.
That would be pretty cool, though. We could try it.
Did nothing. I should try it,
So,
right? No,
listen, people have gotten famous for nothing, so it's certainly possible someone get rich for nothing, right? I mean, why not?
Yeah.
There's let's get to this question here in the chat before we get into our main subject, which actually kind of fills into our main subject, I think. Furious says, this is actually from Periscope, aka Twitter, about Travis's video about tech not innovating. What specifically would you like to see in the next 5 years? So I put a couple of videos out in the last couple of days, depending on when you're listening to the audio portion of this podcast or watching the YouTube podcast here on youtube.com/GadgetCast. You may have watched, hopefully, my videos about how Apple and even Samsung are innovating on the hardware side of things as far as like processor speeds and all that. Well, I mean, Samsung really isn't. They're just buying their processor. Apple, on the other hand, is kind of innovating the processor. I mean, however you look at it. The question is, like, I brought out the point, listen, I think in some ways it's a waste. And I still feel that way because the software in some instances is amazing and excellent and is really utilizing the hardware. And then in other cases, it's not. So in the video that I made today about Austin Evans' video was about the Apple Watch, which is life-changing because I even mentioned I mentioned Greg in it, and I also mentioned a lot of the stories we see. You know, get over it, Greg. I wanted to get a picture. You know what I almost said in it? I almost said what John Prosser said. I almost said he lost 700 pounds. Yeah. I almost did, but no one would understand what I'm talking about. So I didn't say it. But I'm like, that changed people's lives, and the fact that the Apple Watch has saved lives. So I want to see things that, now, first of all, I would have never thought of that 3 or 4 years ago, that an Apple Watch could save someone's life. That wouldn't have crossed my mind. So to say, what would I like to see in 5 years? Something that I can't think of, really. I mean, someone smarter than me coming out with an innovation like that will help save lives. I mean, if I sat here and thought about it, maybe I could come up with something, but I'll tell you right now, I would have never thought about the AFib possibility. I would have never thought of the Apple Watch figuring out that you fell and then making a call to 911. Like I wouldn't have been able to wrap my head around that was a possibility. So those type of things that will save people's lives, help people's lives, that's what I want those processors to use and be used for.
Yeah, and you are right in a way that, like, you know, the A14 processor I even talked about in my video, like they're saying, like, you know, in multi-threaded performance, it could be as powerful as a 15-inch MacBook Pro, which is like, you know, now they have the 16-inch, but that, you know, that used to be like, you know, the best MacBook you could buy and all that stuff. And in a way, you're right. Like this processing power in these phones are kind of wasted on us. It's like, okay, you know, like what most people do on their phones is like, well, you know, most people don't need that kind of power. But Apple does use these processors for very specific things that you might not be able to take advantage of the processing power. Like most people don't like edit tons of video on a phone that would ever take advantage of it, or whatever you think you could throw at it. But they are using that, you know, A13, A14 for things like the computational photography. So, you know, like that new night mode that they have, where it uses 100% of the focus pixels. Apparently that's like a processing thing. When they render portrait mode out, when they're able to give you those live views, if you notice, Apple does a pretty good job at kind of giving you a view of that photo before you even hit the shutter button. You get a pretty good idea of how it's going to look when it's finalized. Things like combining all these photos together with like deep fusion and stuff like that. A lot of these companies are using the hardware and the software together in ways that don't necessarily like scream like, look how much power this is. But these techniques probably wouldn't be possible without that much like horsepower thrown into it, or they wouldn't be as instantaneous as they currently are. But it is this weird thing where you can buy like a really powerful Mac Pro, and there is definitely like a use case for it. But there's that argument every year of these really powerful phones, and we get really excited about it because, you know, why not? Like it is like a technological achievement to get this much power, and it's fun to see these scores and stuff. But we as users don't really take advantage of it in a way that we can really harness it for pro use. And that might change as the software continues to evolve. I've been really happy with the changes we're seeing to iPad OS. That was their first shot at it. Hopefully they continue to evolve the iPad into its own separate thing where it can harness like these chips way more efficiently. How you do that with the constraints of a small phone, I don't think really, I don't know how that works out. Like, I think it's more of like a UI problem on the phone. Like an iPad, yeah, I can see it. Like you edit your videos on an iPad. Any more power they give you, like right now you're fine, but again, you're kind of future proofing yourself. Any workflows that come out, you know that you buy this iPad, it's going to work for 5 years and it's going to be great, and you won't have to buy one for a while. I think people miss that point too. It's not necessarily that you're getting a fast phone, you're going to be able to take advantage of it in a year, but if you're not upgrading every year, like we are, we're spoiled, we upgrade every year. But if you hold on to your phone for 4 years, you don't have to worry about it being slow. And that's a benefit that the consumer sees. Because I think you can think back to almost any period of time of like, I got the latest MacBook Pro. This is so powerful. It can't get any more powerful than this, right? And then like in 5 years, you're like, wow, this thing's really slow. It's a hunk of junk. I can't do anything on it anymore. It's kind of hard to see when you're there, when you're at the peak, like when you own like the latest iPhone, you're like, what else can this thing do? But like if you look back 5 years ago into the iPhone, you start to see like the computational photography stuff wasn't there. If you go and use like an older iPhone, you can start to notice some of the flaws that are there. But even saying that, those phones still run pretty well to this day. Like I'm, as you know, I've been using the iPhone SE, and there are some problems with that phone that I can't wait to talk about. If people are using this phone in 2020, hats off to you, because
oh my goodness,
the performance is there, but that battery, oh my god. Yeah. What is going on there? But
I can't wait to see that. Yeah, an Artist Haven Tish in the chat and YouTube chat is Nathan's back there letting everyone know he's around.
Third host of GadgetCast.
Exactly. That's why she said that's why I got the Note 10 Plus. I need to last at least 3 years, which it will easily. A Note 10 Plus with the A55 Snapdragon is easily going to last 3 years. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. You never have to worry about it. And it's so funny because in some ways you almost, I don't feel bad for them, but you have to think about it from the manufacturer standpoint. It's like, okay, we made this thing so fast, and we're raising the bar every year. Like every year, Apple or even Samsung, whoever says this processor is this much percentage faster than last year's. It's like, well, when does that stop? When does it stop being faster? And to me, it's like sometimes you don't need to go faster. You need to go more efficient, like make the battery last like 3 days. Like that would be the real thing. It's like someone goes, well, okay, our processor is about as fast as last year, but now your battery lasts 3 days. That now who isn't going to love that? Like who's not going to say, okay, that's the innovation? Or now we're using some of the processing power to pay attention to your health, and we'll alert you when we think you're about to, your leg going to get a leg cramp or something. You know what I mean? Like whatever the case may be. And I think someone in one of the comments earlier today said something like, well, don't you need more hardware to take care of the more software? Yes and no. I mean, at this point, it's not like the processing power of our devices now are particularly weak. They're strong enough for the next couple of years for any kind of software innovation we come up with. Like it's unnecessary. The computational stuff that I think like the iPhone and stuff is doing for pictures, I think really what we're talking about is not that some other processors couldn't do it. I mean, maybe if it's taking advantage of a very specific portion of the processor that did not exist before, that's one thing. But almost everything can be processed. It might just take a little bit longer. So it might take, like, instead of 1 second to process maybe a dark image, it takes 2 or half a second to 1 or whatever. And I'll just take that extra bit of time.
I can sit here today and tell you some constraints that even iPhones have with the latest A13 processor. Like there's still improvements that they need to make on consumer features that you might not even notice. If you go shoot a video at 4K 60 frames per second, this year they added the ability to capture that in high dynamic range. That was turned off before because it required too much processing power. However, one of the features with the iPhone Pro that they really showed off was this ability to switch between the ultra wide, the wide angle, and the telephoto during video. And you can use all these lenses and get great video. But that is only a feature that is available at those lower frame rates. If you go into 4K 60, you'll notice that you can't switch between ultra wide, wide, and the telephoto. You can zoom in, but it's a crop on whatever lens you are using. So it's digitally zooming in on the ultra wide or the wide or the telephoto. You aren't able to switch between those modes because apparently that takes some sort of like processing power on each thing to kind of switch between it instantaneously. So there are still things, consumer facing features that aren't perfect yet. I went to go shoot a 4K 60 video and I'm like, oh, I don't get advantage. I can't use all my lenses. I'm not using this. Like I want to use all my lenses because they're all good and they all serve a purpose. Like that ultra wide, when you do video with it, it looks really cool. Scott also brought up a good point of ARM Macs. There's rumors that Apple is going to start using their own chips for their laptops. And that is an area because these mobile processors, like Travis mentioned, they're way more power efficient than what Intel or AMD is doing. So if you make a MacBook with these really power efficient CPUs and you put like the same size batteries you're putting in there, those laptops might last for a couple of days. And all of a sudden, you get rid of like this huge battery anxiety problem that a lot of people have with their laptops. They won't travel without a charger, and all of a sudden you might get a laptop that lasts 3 days and runs super cool and efficient. And that's what I'm excited to see. We've heard rumors for the longest time that this is the year that Apple will release some sort of laptop with their own processor in it. I don't know if that's true, but that's what we've been hearing for like 4 years now. So this might be the year where we finally see like Apple going, okay, these processors, they are powerful enough to put in a machine that can actually like really push this thing, like, 8K video all the way.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think so this is where we have kind of a similar opinion about it, but a slightly varying opinion, which is why I love GadgetCast, because we can have that. So like you were talking about 460, 4K 60, I wasn't aware of that, but I'm going to worry about it because I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time shooting 4K 60. The file sizes are ridiculous, and who's going to watch that on what? So you could also say, well, you can't shoot 8K yet on it. Okay, I mean, I could put the processing power towards that, or I could put the processing power towards better battery life, some type of new feature that I'm not aware of that I need, those type of things. So I get what you're saying. There's always going to be something you can say, well, we just need a faster processor. I get that. I'm not saying that isn't important. What I'm saying is sometimes work smarter, not harder. And the manufacturing of faster processors will probably never end. However, you might also remember that in desktop processors, the speed game, the per clock game stopped a couple of years ago. It used to be 1 gig, 1.5 gig, 2 gig. My 2 gig Pentium is great, and it used to keep going up, and then it stopped. Then we went multi-processor, and then like the per clock efficiency went up, so that now you'll get multi-core processors that maybe start at 2.2 gig, but a 2.2 gig processor from a couple of years ago is not as efficient or as fast as a 2.2 gig processor now. So it's not even that the speed itself, it's just more efficient with that speed. So I think that's kind of what I'm looking at. And then also more importantly, like legitimate features, which is why at the moment I'm on iPhone, because I found that the things that I needed for, like when CES was around and I was doing all the CES things, I needed a phone that was going to last battery wise. And none of my Android phones would have done that. But the iPhone did. It was efficient. The battery usage was great. And I was able to get through every day. So those are the type of things, the things that 90% of the time I need are the things that I'm going to value most going into 2020. And hopefully the price won't be ridiculous.
Yeah. The price is, well, Apple did good on price this year, at least with their regular phone. But next year's all OLED, or this year's all OLED now, right? So, and
that's the thing. It's like we'll have to see if people understand the like I've been saying, the true battlegrounds this year in 2020 are the budget-minded phones, the 5. I'm starting to see I don't know about you in your comment section, but lately I'm starting to see people getting tired of paying $1,000 and like, look, I'm just going to look for something that can get the job done at $500 to $600, and then I'm good. Like I'm seeing that sentiment rising in my comment section. Like people still want to know about the flagships, but they're not always willing to jump every year. They want value for money, and that I don't think that'll ever change.
Oh, of course. I don't know if I'm seeing as heavily as you. I noticed, at least for my channel, interest in like the iPhone 11 is way more than the Pro, and that there's a big price difference there. And I think for a while people were scared that the normal iPhone was going to be the $1,000 iPhone. There was a period there where we thought that these are the normal iPhones. Every other iPhone is the budget iPhone. And you can believe what you want, but Apple definitely pulled like a great marketing trick by going, no, this one is the normal iPhone. This is the Pro model. And people, yourself included, have problems with that names, but you have to admire like the marketing of like getting people to go, oh, this one's the normal one. I'll take that one. Like, it's not a budget one. Like there's some people that get up, like there's almost like this danger of making these budget models because people walk into the store and they'll go, I want the latest iPhone. Well, we have this one or we have the cheap one, and people don't want the cheap model. Like even like people want a good deal, but some people have a real issue with buying the cheap model. So I thought it was really smart for Apple to be like, you know what, this one's the normal one, the other one's the enhanced one. And but on the budget end of things, you're right. There's definitely an interest there. I'm more excited for the Pixel 4a than I was for the Pixel 4. Especially on the design of it, and I want to see what Google's doing there. And then on Apple's side, we're going to get another $400 iPhone SE2 or iPhone 9, whatever they call it. And there is definitely interest there. I just did a video on rumors regarding that, and that video got a lot of views and a lot of impressions. People are looking for that phone. People are excited for that phone. And coming in at a $400 price point for an iPhone with the latest processor, probably with the latest, single lens camera, that phone's going to sell really well.
If that's what it ends up happening, which there's been, the indication, generally speaking, from Apple and Samsung is that they're willing to go down a little bit in price. This would mark a new thing for Apple as a general rule of thumb, to jump so far down. It would be great if they do. If they're able to do this and they decide to do it and it makes sense for them, and they do it in a way that's not the 5C kind of duplicate, like it's actual like an SE, which was beloved, I guess, for the time, then they might be surprised by how successful it might be.
Yeah.
Really could be.
And
really could be.
I don't know what Apple's, there's smarter people at Apple, paid to kind of think about this stuff right now. But I really don't know what Apple's plan is with the iPhone. Obviously, phone sales are shrinking. They're kind of being commoditized, and people buy a new phone when they need a new phone, and that's becoming less and less frequent because the hardware inside of them is so good. Most people probably would replace their phone because their battery stinks, honestly, and they might not know that you can get the battery swapped in it or whatever, or the camera features after a couple of years. Okay, I want to take better pictures. It's usually not because the performance. And again, I've been using that iPhone SE, which is an older phone that's from the 6S generation. And performance wise, like day-to-day stuff, like, going on Twitter, like what most people do, I don't notice a difference between that and my iPhone 11. It feels like the same to me as I'm like scrolling through things. Like, okay, some people are really excited for 120 hertz screens. I can tell you, most consumers, they're not going to notice that your screen has a higher refresh rate. I can switch between an iPad Pro and an iPhone with a 60 hertz and a 120 hertz. And it's like, I don't like I notice it in a way, but like after 5 minutes switching between the device, it kind of like, it's like out of my head. Like, I'm not like, this feels slow. This feels sluggish. And that's very much a feature that will look nice as you're scrolling or as you're switching or doing like an animation plays, but it's not a real world benefit. On the iPad, it was for artists because that higher refresh rate gave them lower latency. So that was a feature that was important to an audience who would buy that Pro product. On a phone, it's going to look a little bit nicer when your animations play out, but it's also going to hurt your battery. I think most people would go, give me the better battery life. I don't care about screen refresh rate. You scroll and look how nice it looks. Look how nice it looks. Oh, let me do the animation. Look how nice it looks. But most people, you scroll, you read, you scroll, you're not constantly scrolling and stuff like that. It's kind of like a feature. Like, I get that it looks nicer, but it's not like moving to Retina for me. Some people compare it to that, like higher pixel density screens. That's good because you can notice that every time you look at the screen. With a higher refresh rate, you have to be moving the screen. So that's why a higher refresh rate is really, really usually only important for things like gaming where there is constant movement.
100%. I think, again, I think people are going to value the things that make them most productive during the course of the day. And that is generally speaking, your phone being on, which is battery life. Yeah, and divided the USB-C thing I've talked about in my iPad Air review recently on my channel. That I don't know that it's going to matter as much for the phone as it will for the tablets, but at some point, Lightning's got to go away. And John Prosper thinks it's going to go portless before anything, which I mean maybe, but do you think they'll draw the line, which they kind of have in some ways already? USB-C is for the pro kind of tablet laptop thing, and then Lightning is for everything else until they decide to just not have a port, which I don't know when that could be the case.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the Apple thinking. I didn't even think we'd get USB-C on iPads until we did, and then it's like, oh, of course we did. It's a computer now, and it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Like the iPad Pro should have USB-C. It has faster transfer speeds, absolutely. With the iPhones and stuff like that, I don't know. We based on rumors, no, they want to go portless. They already have portless devices. Look at the Apple Watch. You can't. There's nothing to plug in there. You charge it magnetically. I really don't know what their end goal is with the iPhone. I assume they might want to get to a point with no ports, just based on all the stuff with like the FBI. You can plug your phone into a box and crack the encryption on it. That's like a big argument going on right now. So I can see them getting rid of it for security reasons. Going, you know what? We're going to remove that. We're the only ones who have access to this. It's super secure and all this stuff. But it's one of those things where like, what is their 5-year vision? We could talk about next year's phone, but most good companies, they have a long-term vision. It's not always about the next product. It's about the product 5 years in the future. And maybe Apple's getting us used to something like that, like an AR glasses where you don't plug it in and it charges magnetically. Maybe that's a future they want us to get accustomed to. In terms of like plugging my iPhone in, like I don't do it like to transfer data ever. Like if I have to, I'm spoiled. I'm in the Apple ecosystem. I airdrop my files if I need to do stuff like that. I use a Lightning port to charge it sometimes. I'm kind of like 50% wireless charging, 50% Lightning at this point. If it really went away though, at this point, it wouldn't be like a huge pain point for me. I don't think I ever plug it into a computer to transfer data or anything like that.
So the one time that I mean, it's pretty rare. I do plug my iPad into my computer fairly often, but it has USB-C. So I think that's always going to be a different thing. For phones, I think you're right. I don't think it's completely necessary for it to have a port, but what would be really compelling and really interesting is how Apple would see, as soon as Apple does it, it'll legitimize it. And I know some people get triggered by that, but we've talked about this on this podcast before, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But when Apple does something, it legitimizes whatever it is, whether it be Apple Pay, whether it be wireless earbuds, whatever. But
Travis, something as little as a square camera bump becomes every phone is having a square camera bump. What? Like all of a sudden, it's like you
notches. I
remember when the iPhone, like when that rumor came out, and like Samsung's doing it the right way with the line of camera. Now you look at the S20 Ultra, and it's like,
yeah. It's and notches and everything else. But my point being is if they go portless on the phones, that will completely legitimize wireless charging. Now, to say that it's not legitimized now is not true. I mean, you can go some places and get wireless charging, but the second that they start selling phones that are only wireless charge, you think you already see plenty of wireless charging stations. You have no idea what's going to happen. You will go to McDonald's and every single freaking table will be wireless charge. Like the minute that, so you can go to some Starbucks and find wireless charging stations, but not all of them. But the minute that iPhone goes completely wireless charge, it's going to be everywhere. And the proof is in the pudding, because here's the thing. We've had wireless charging on Android for years and years and years and years and years. And it wasn't until very recently, after Apple got wireless charging, that you started to see it kind of more and more in public places. Not that you never found it, but you would have to look really hard. But the minute this thing goes full time, watch the scalability of wireless charging everywhere. Watch it. Because right now, millions of Android phones could take advantage of it. And you should be able to go anywhere and wireless charge. You can't do that. Go into Target, wireless charge somewhere. Go to the airport and wireless charge somewhere. It's very difficult to do. But watch what happens when it happens on iPhone. And whether you like Apple or not, it's irrelevant. It's what happens. every single time. It is what it is.
Travis just made like the best point. Like that was an excellent point. And that, you know, love Apple or hate them, like that might be the argument for removing the port, is to just say, you know what? If we have this port, people will always, like, it will just be the default. Like people won't even think to innovate in wireless charging. It will just be like, well, we have the port, so we'll plug it in. And Apple loves to force people to new technologies. They've done it all the time. And you look no further than the iPhone 7 when they removed the headphone jack, and look at the audio space today. Go back and look at comments back then and look at all the people that said, oh, wireless earbuds are never, you know, this isn't going to be a thing. And now look at where we are in 2020.
Bruh.
Go to El Jefe Reviews. Look at his channel.
He's got an entire channel.
Look at all the wireless earbuds that are here. It is crazy. It is Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple. They all have wireless earbuds. I would never, ever tell you that Microsoft was going to release wireless earbuds. They exist. Like, come on. This is a thing. And you know, we look at like laptops now, and like you look at a laptop and you see a CD drive there. You're like, wait, what? Huh? Mm-hmm. You know, I remember when Apple removed the CD drives on the MacBook Air, and people were like, wait, no, I need that.
I do that. No, you don't.
Now, if I got like a laptop with a CD drive, I'd be like, what is this?
I mean, you're talking about even PCs and stuff too. It's not just Apple. It's like, you know, CD drives, DVD drives are like, you're always going to need those. You need to install Windows. Like, no, you just need a USB stick. That's it. I mean, it's just things evolve. And then we wonder,
and sometimes that's a painful process. Sometimes, I mean, you can go even to like the simplest days of when Steve Jobs did the iMac, and they didn't include like a legacy port. They moved to USB. USB was a way better port than the old port, but people got so mad. They're like, oh, I have this accessory with like this port and I want to use that. And it's like, well, we found like a better solution, and you don't need to have like 100 ports on this thing, which is what Apple tried to do with the latest MacBook Pros by doing the one port solution. But I guess that didn't catch on as good actually. But I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
There's less influence in the laptop market Apple has today than the iPhone. Like maybe if Apple did that, you know, in the hay of the MacBook days, it would have been more like revolutionary. But Apple's a mobile company with like iPhones and iPads, and when they do something there, it seems to catch on. You're right about that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we end 2020 technology wise, and see what the next kind of level of things are. I mean, this year, kind of the talking point is, you know, faster display refreshes, which I think is important. I think it's good, but it's not exactly compelling. How do you explain that to someone who doesn't understand that and get them excited to buy a new phone?
It's good for the people like us, but I'm telling you, like, normal people, you go, look, it moves fast. You know, like I just know. Like I have these I have these people in my life, and you tell them about like a new feature, and you just see like their eyes glaze over. Even like, if it's super exciting for you, it's like, oh,
how much is it, and does it get battery life, and does it take good pictures?
Yes.
I mean, yes. Oh, okay. Well, then, you know, is there a sale on it? I mean, you know what I mean?
Look no further than my fiance. I love her, but she has the first generation iPad Pro. Doesn't have a magnetic Apple Pencil. Doesn't have the 120 hertz. And I'm like, look at all these benefits. And like, she's like creating like amazing stuff on it that I can never do. And it's like, okay, I guess like it's good, but you kind of don't need it.
I guess you don't. Well, but listen, and my iPad Pro is my video editing piece of hardware, so I will upgrade when the next one comes out for no good reason. I don't need to. This thing is plenty fast enough.
We're getting those bigger screens next time. We're
bigger screen and faster, even fast processor. And for me, the fast processor will be good because rendering 4K while fast on this thing, if I can get it faster, that saves me time, and I'm all about that life. I will pay more money to save time every single time.
I think this could be a really exciting year for tech. I think it's starting out slow. Like it's January, you know, but I think it's going to kick up fast sooner than people think. There's so like, even like we're talking about Microsoft, they're going to be releasing like those like hinge devices, foldable, whatever. They're not really foldable, but you know, there's going to be exciting things. We're getting second revisions of the Galaxy Fold, this Galaxy Z phone that I'm hearing about. I think I'm going to try and definitely pick up a folding phone this year. I was scared off last year, but this year, hoping the launches are smoother and you can actually get them. And if Apple's not making one, I'm getting a Samsung or whatever. Whoever comes out with a foldable phone, like I'm getting it.
I'm actually looking forward. I'm looking forward to the clamshell ones if they're not too expensive. It'd be fun to have one.
And it's like exciting. This is new technology. These are the days where like you'll look back and go, wow, that was really rough. But then it'll evolve into something really good. These are definitely rough products, but that's exciting in a way. I'm not telling you to go out and buy it. If you're like a normal person watching this, like you probably shouldn't buy a folding phone. But for people like me and Travis, it's exciting. It's like, oh, okay, we can see the potential here, even though like we might get it and be like, I don't know if I want to carry this every day. I got my iPhone in my other pocket, you know?
Right. Like it's fun enough. It's kind of a cool little fun
it's
thing.
To like whip out, like unfold it. Oh, it glitched out. Oh, let me put
it away. And I put it away. You listen,
took a picture of the Galaxy Fold, right? And you didn't even notice it was broken.
Yes, that was weird. Go to my Twitter. Anyone who's listening to this, Travis MCP on Twitter, you will see that I went to Best Buy and there was a Galaxy Fold under glass, and it apparently was broken in some way. But I didn't catch it when I took the picture. But if you look on my Twitter, and you see the picture. You can see it's pretty obviously got a line across it, which is not supposed to be there. So, God, it wasn't on either, by the way, when I was there. So I
was like, I'm looking at him like, is that that's broken? It's under.
I think it is. Yeah. Why would that? That's sad. Michael Fisher loves his, and he'll get another foldable. Love Michael Fisher. He's a great guy. But man, I could not put my life into spending that much. It's just, couldn't do it. It's too much. 2K, I can't do it. But I think that's about it. Is there anything else going on this week we need to pay attention to? When is that SE video coming out? I want to see that.
I maybe this week. I'll say this week. How about that?
All right.
I don't want to give any
promises. I'm still sitting on this one that I can't.
It will be this.
I'm still sitting on one for an older phone that when you guys see it or hear it, it's gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe you got one of those. But I need to wait until there's more people interested in watching YouTube again. And once that happens, I'm excited to share that with you. So hopefully you are subscribed up to both me and Greg. Links are in the show notes if you're listening to audio. If you're on video, should be in the description below. So that's another one down. We did it again, continuing to grow this incredible group of
Travis
toilet casters.
We're gonna do the live check. I haven't checked our reviews in a little bit.
Oh Lord.
If you're listening to this, if you have like an Apple device, go rate us on Apple Podcasts. It actually really matters for recommendations. I've noticed since more people have been reviewing us, we're actually appearing in recommendations for other people's shows, which wasn't happening.
Really?
Before. Yes, very happy about that. So someone I think the Painfully Honest Tech podcast and Talos of Tech.
Oh.
Yeah, they've been popping up in recommendations there. So that is awesome.
Hey,
that's a big way to grow an out podcast. All right. Ooh, 5 stars. Look at that. 5-star rating. No.
What?
No, there's a 1 star.
No, I told there is not. Is there?
There's a 1 star.
What does it say? I told you someone was going to troll us.
A coward left a 1 star, didn't write anything, but they
didn't say, it's we knew this was going to happen. Because you made too big of a deal.
Over. It is over.
The streak is over. I knew it. I told you not to tell people.
Whoever left that 1 star, you are a coward. Where's the review? Where is the written review?
Not even review.
A 1 star. No, I need a Greg's annoying to listen to. I
think you need to appeal that. How do we appeal this to Apple?
If you're listening and you left that 1 star, just go back, write a review if it is legitimately 1 star. If not, I want that 5 stars.
I want you to remove that right now.
Everyone listening to this, I need you to steal your loved one's Apple devices. I need you to go into Apple Podcasts. We need to outride this 1 star, or else Gadget.
What's our overall now?
We're still 5 stars.
Oh,
we have enough 5 stars that still average 5 stars, but we don't want to let the 1 stars win. Okay, we're all 5-star people here.
That's right.
If you're listening to this, I consider you a 5-star person.
5-star person.
So
you are.
You come on Apple Podcast. I'm gonna walk you through it because it is kind of confusing. Right. You go on the GadgetCast podcast. You see that beautiful new episode. That's all you click. You're like, oh, I'm so excited. But if you actually scroll down, you'll see the review system, and you just tap on 5 stars. Oh, so easy, so easy. Just do it.
it validates everything that Greg does in his week.
Yeah.
So it's
this is going to depress me. This 1 star.
I never look, so it doesn't bother me at all.
Actually, we've had 5 stars for so long, and I was like so confident. I was so confident. I was like, it's gonna be 5 stars.
I told you stop poking the bear, but you didn't want to do it. It is what it is.
You know what?
But that means we made it. That means we made it.
Yeah, you haven't made it till you get 1 hater.
At least. More to come, I'm sure. All right, for all of you listening on the toilet, we appreciate you, and we will definitely catch you on the next one. He's Greg. I'm Travis, and for the formerly 5-star perfect podcast, GadgetCast, we out. Recording stopped. Oh, thank you, Tish.
Thank you, Travis. I left the lens cap on. We got to do that
again. Yeah, I was like, it's fine. 1 star was probably an unboxed fan. That's funny.
These guys.
We got you back.
Like this.
Terrible. That's so funny. Well, thanks everyone live for joining us. We appreciate you. If you listen to audio, cool. We appreciate listening there. And
if you're live, I need to upgrade my live stream, and then Travis and I are gonna do it even bigger when that happens. It's gonna be so.
It's gonna be amazing.
We're gonna get like a double green screen. And it's gonna look like we're in like the same room.
That would be cool.
We should like a crazy location. We should like broadcast from like Death Star or something like that.
Is there a picture of like the office of like one of the biggest offices in like Apple or Samsung, and like I'll sit behind the Samsung chair?
I think like a profile on Tim Cook. I think they got like Tim Cook's office.
That would be cool. You put that in your back. That'd be awesome.
We should just do like a green screen grab from like The Office, the show, and people be like,
"Oh, yeah, I'm in for that." Yeah, I would totally do that.
Hey,
I would totally do that. Yeah, for everyone live, we'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for showing up and showing out, and we will see you next time. Peace.